hope you are doing healthy and happy. My name is Akanksha, and this is indeed a very special video. And just by the title, you can tell that it is yet again another experience of my life, which I'm going to be sharing with the motive of trying to make it as helpful as possible for you. Because I understand and I relate that even during my preparatory days, I would Google through the entire YouTube searching for many experiences, because learnings from these experiences add so much value and positivity to my preparation. So with the same motive, I'm here. Alright, let's begin with a quick introduction. So let me put it this way. It gives me immense pleasure to share this little good news that I have earned the recommendation to join the prestigious Officers Training Academy, Chennai, to be later commissioned as an Indian Armed Forces officer. That was heavy. That was epic. Alright, so that basically fulfills the eligibility criteria for I have experienced SSB, and here I am with my SSB experience. But quick disclaimer, number one, this was a fresher recommendation. So unlike someone who has experienced SSBs a couple of times, probably mine will be a little less enriched. However, you who's sitting on the other side should make note cleverly as to how much information you can gather, right? And secondly, of course, this is going to be a really long video, not only because I'm going to give you many details, but also because my laptop is down and so is Adobe Premiere Pro. So I'm basically going to shot like a one-take video, though I'm a one-take artist, so that doesn't really bother me, but the fact that I'm going to blabber. So let's just fingers crossed that I stick to the point and let's get started. But yeah, you want to get yourself comfortable out there, brace yourself for a really long video, though the timeline is there, so hashtag quick relief. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. I'm going to start by telling you as to what exactly my entry was. And this was NCC special entry. So I technically had the option to go either for CDS or NCC. I was having both the options, but I chose NCC special entry. Now, understand that entries all finally lead to the academy for the same course, right? So if you are having some misconception whether it's treated a different way or less options are available and all that, no. Everybody is doing the same course, whether you're from NCC entry, whether you're from non-tech, whether you're from tech, whether you're from JAG. Alright? Because I received a lot of questions for this. That's why clearing here. Now, yes, my SSB. So was this like my first attempt or something? No, this was my first SSB experience, but my second screen-in experience. So I'm going to tell you what exactly happened. A month prior to my first ever SSB, which was again NCC special entry, I was introduced to SSB. And my first reflex reaction was that, oh my god, this is interesting. Because there's not just one way that they are assessing your personality, but there are so many aspects that they are checking, and it's fun, like it's really fun and prolific. So I knew one thing, that okay, I was in that stage when I was a graduate and I was just exploring opportunities and gaining experiences. Pursuing masters was never in my head, so I was looking out for experiences in various fields whatsoever out of interests to me. And SSB was added to the list after I got to know that, oh, this is fun. Although, obviously, like joining the defense forces, like, and I was always think that, oh, this is beyond my limits, like, but then you never know. So I remember what my school ANO would always tell me. I still remember your words, ma'am, in case you're watching this, that you should always go and try out as many opportunities as possible which are of interests to you, because you never know what luck tricks for you. Alright then, so yeah, after I explored about SSB, how to prepare and etc., through all the guidance I received and internet baba, I realized that it's time to step ahead and actually face it. So my first ever SSB was at Allahbad, where the reporting was 1010, but thankfully only 500 something reported, out of which I believe 39 got screened in, and I got screened out. Though it was later told some documentation, but alas, all of that is an excuse, so I would consider myself a screened out cadet. But to be really honest with you, like really honest with you, I remember I was so satisfied with my performance that even when the results were announced, like the process is going on, I was just sitting very calmly that, oh, mera number aane wala hai. Trust me, it wasn't overconfidence. It was like I was satisfied with my performance. You can yourself make out the difference. And even when the results were announced, I was still like, oh, maybe reh gaya hoga kahin par, I'll figure it out, because I was very happy with what I did in the tests. So I was taking my luggage and I was surrounded with more of my screened out friends and etc. And I was like still chill that okay, life may failure success to hota rehta, it doesn't really make a difference. And trust me, that is true. Like this is my strategy of living, that even if I earn a success or even if I earn a failure, to me it's just another experience of life. What matters to me is what skills I have learned from that experience, which I'm going to use for my next challenge, because I'm a short-term goal person. Alright, so I remember that I was just taking my luggage and I was moving towards the main gate, the exit, and I was still very normal, that okay, koi baat nahi, chalta hai, it's okay. But then when I saw my father's face outside the gate, I felt it, that oh, no, not done. So that was the moment when I told myself that I'm gonna come back again through NCC entry and gonna, and I did that. Good girl. You know, I am my biggest motivator. I try to be a really modest person, but from inside me, I'm Miss Universe. Anyways, coming back to SSB, like I've told you, stop blabbering, Akanksha. So coming back, this was my Allahabad experience, and this happened in the first week of September. And after that, of course, other things were happening in life, serious and everything also happened simultaneously. And then came my second SSB date, which was like a clash, CDS entry or the NCC special entry, and I chose NCC, like you know. And it was supposed to take place in the first week of March. Technically, like to be precise, 28th of February. So from September to February, yeah, I wasn't like rigorously preparing for SSB throughout, because I was doing other things in life. SSB was in my head, but not so much. And I remember 14th of February was my AFCAT exam, and after that, till 27th of February, I was completely devoted to SSB. But before that, I was just doing a little bit here and there. Okay? So, Bhopal happened where 300 were supposed to report, but 222 reported, out of which 33 got screened in. And I got screened in. I was chest number 5. And then we had our 4 days of living there in Bhopal, which were the best days I've had in my life. Learned so much, like so much. I'm gonna share it everything, okay? And then after the results, which were announced on the conference, 4 girls got recommended, and I was also one of them. Such talented girls, I must tell you. And then after the recommendation, of course, I was given the chest number 17 plus, though inside me I was still 5. Because you know, those plus chest numbers is like just a little, you can say, to represent that, okay, this is a recommended candidate now appearing for the third stage, which is medicals. But inside you, you are your stage 2 per chest number, so yeah. And then the results also came out, which was the merit result, where also my rank was 5. Okay, so the Bhopal experience is something that I'm going to give in details, because Allahabad, like only the screening test happened, right? So I'm going to give you little details of that too. So let's begin. So how I'm going to actually share my experience, it's going to be like per test. Okay, let's begin with, oh, before that, what exactly was my approach to the entire preparation, like from the overall SSB point of view, and how did I prepare? The question which was asked so many times to me was, did you take coaching? So the answer is no. I did not refer to like a coaching institute to get the typical coaching for SSB, nor did I buy the typical book or the typical guide for SSB. For me, I received loads and loads of guidance from my mentors, which include the officer in charges of my NCC family, my seniors, my friends, and unknown people from internet. So these were my sources. And of course, I bought one book for OIR practice, But other than that, I was referring to internet, YouTube, and of course my mentors. So yeah, that was it. And then let's talk about my overall approach, right? Okay, so I'm going to talk about some really deep stuff now, what really worked for me. Okay, so I understood SSB as a test of personality. Okay, they are not really judging you for one particular workforce. It's like, if you talk about the Indian Armed Forces, it is not limited to a kind of a job, right? It's a way of life. So you got to understand where you are landing yourself onto. And I try to understand that, okay, if I am going to sell myself at SSB, I have to make sure that I should be the most compatible person for this position. And in order to make sure of that, I need to understand where I'm going. So for that, I try to realize the demands of the forces, what exactly they want, and I try to relate it to what I have in me, and then adjust my personality accordingly. Now these demands, hashtag OLQs. So in day-to-day life, I started realizing into more deeper sense as to every activity that I would do, the schedule that I follow usually, and people whom I see around me, and usual things, what I do, what I like to do, what I must do in accordance to the demands of the place that I want to see myself. All of that was happening, and that is what really helped me to prepare myself from SSB. Because trust me, if I tell you that, okay, increase your writing speed for psychology test, or probably what do we say, increase your stamina for the GT tasks, for the ground tests, these are like just materialistic tips. The real tip that I would give you is to understand why SSB and what they really want. See, everybody's got a unique personality. You do not have to change yourself. You just have to improvise a little bit here and there, keeping the real self intact. Because that is who you are, and you cannot change that. So it's better that you introspect yourself. Now this word introspection, I'm sure if you're someone who's preparing for SSB, you must have heard this a zillion times, and it is the reality. As soon as we really realize the meaning of introspection, and if we are truly done with that, because trust me, I'm still introspecting myself. I really don't know myself fully yet, and I will never know myself, but I'm just going to do everything anyways. So that's what you really need to know, the kind of person you are, what you really like, what you really dislike, and you need to know your strengths and weaknesses. You really need to know yourself, and by knowing yourself, you will realize that, ooh, I have it in me. Because everybody has it in themselves. That is a true fact. It's just that we need to realize it and we need to act upon it, right? Because just keeping the thoughts here will not work. You have to understand that whatever you think has to come out of your mouth, and you need to be doing that also through your actions. So basically, your mansa, your vacha, and your karma must be in synchronization. Then that's the whole point of SSB. So once you know yourself completely, then obviously everything will go in order. Now let's come back to the tests wise experience sharing, and I can help you understand it even in a better sense, right? Beginning with the screen-in test. So the first ever stage 1 test is your OIR, Officers Intelligence Rating Test, which is basically further subdivided into 2, verbal, non-verbal, and these are your basic reasoning questions. Maths, English, kind of questions like, okay, BODMAS questions will be there. If X means the multiplication sign means addition, the plus sign means subtraction, etc., etc. So what does this plus this minus 2 into 3 blah 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 means? So these are like kind of questions you can experience in your verbal. And then for non-verbal, you're going to have patterns, series, and figures, diagrams, cubes, dices, etc. Even for verbal, you will experience questions like relationship questions. A is the mother of, sister of, father of, what is this in relation to that? Or even if A moved 10 steps ahead in the north direction, turned left, then went 20 meters ahead, and then came back to the initial position, and then went this much, like what is the difference between the final and the initial positions? Things like that. So overall, these are very interesting questions, and very easy, to be really honest. The only thing that you require here is speed. So one thing that I understood from OIR is speed is the boss, because time is very less. You have to attempt as many questions as possible, and since there is no negative marking, so you can do all questions, but doing the right answers, marking the right answers is also the important thing. So practicing OIR on a daily basis is the only way you can get the better rating in OIR, which is 1 or 2. So like 5 ratings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to make sure that you are either 1 or 2, and we're always number 1. So talking about Allahabad OIR, I do not remember the number of questions in the time allotted, but I do remember that I did all of them, both verbal and non-verbal. I did all. And for Bhopal, I know the exact number. So there were 45 questions for non-verbal, and we were given 23 minutes, and I did all of them. For verbal, there were 45 questions again, given 27 minutes, and I could only do 40 questions. Okay, now talking about, like I've said, OIR is all about practice, practice, practice. That's it. Nothing more than that. You don't have time, so you need to make sure that you quickly answer as many as possible and the right answers. So that comes with practice. And for this, I'll suggest that you buy a book and do it yourself. Use a pen and start doing it. That is the only way it can help you gain really good marks in that. Okay? So the next test is your PPDT, Picture Perception and Discussion Test, which is having so many tests within itself. So I am not really going to give you the details of how this test is done, because I'm here to share my experience. So as PPDT says, the first thing that comes up is a picture, a blur picture. You have to figure out what is going on in that picture, and then you have to figure out the action of your story along with the characters, their mood, their age, and of course write a story. So the whole idea is to weave a story with respect to the picture which is right displayed on the screen, and you're given 30 seconds to observe that picture and 4 minutes to write down everything on the paper. So I remember the picture that was shown in Bhopal during my SSB was basically like 70% was covered with human figurines, wherein we had 2 males, very clear, and 1 female. They were sitting like in a discussion mode or something. The male guy was sitting in between, having a particular tool in his hands, and the background was having like probably 2 trees, little bit of bushes, and yeah, they were just discussing with each other. That was the whole picture that I could introspect. I mean, I could just figure out, and based on that I created this story, and my story was about afforestation drive. I saw trees, I saw people discussing afforestation drive. So I'm going to tell you my story, okay? So my story was that the girl who is the protagonist, she along with 2 male friends have come back to their hometown after graduation, and it is time that it's been a long time, so they came back to meet each other and discuss about their old childhood memories and be happy, nostalgic about it. So decide to meet up in the local farm, where the girl realizes that the green cover has reduced so much, and even the quality of the crop, which is clearly visible in the farm, is also reduced. So they decide and discuss about conducting an afforestation drive. So for that, they need to figure out the entire plan. So the step 1 is permission, for which they approached the sarpanch of the village and took the permission. The second was to collect the materials. So they contacted the nearby nursery, they looked out for the land, the saplings, and figured it all out. The third was the awareness drive, where they had to invite people. So for this, they distributed posters, pamphlets to nearby villages also, to make sure that many people come. And secondly, they also conducted a special nukkad natak, because the whole idea was not just to invite people for this afforestation drive, but also to instill the feeling from inside that this is important, like this is bloody important, right? So for that, and yes, people were touched and moved, and on the day of the afforestation drive, not only hundreds of saplings were planted, but also a pledge was taken that these saplings will be taken care of, we're going to nurture them, and we're going to also work towards it. And it was a huge success, and within a couple of years, the village was marching ahead with respect to its green cover and was back to prosperity. So this was pretty much what my story was. Now, let me tell you, stories are gonna be different. Does not matter. What I understand is, the only thing which matters is what is the flow of your action. Because see, everything is important in life, okay? Social values, doing something good for the society is also important. Like my story can be related to this, afforestation drive, adding a good value to the society. But also at the same time, I'll tell you the stories of other people. Most of them had this trip planning, you know, like I told you, the guy was having something on his hands, like a tool or something. So somebody even said discussing for a science project, right? So it can be anything, discussing for a trip, science project, afforestation drive, anything. But the idea is that you have to weave your story in a manner which showcases your leadership qualities, because it all comes down to your OLQs. So I wrote my story, and obviously I wasn't able to finish it on time, but you know, there are like many girls in the room and they are busy collecting that pass it on, pass it on, so I'll make use of that time and finish my story. So I was able to finish it by the time I submitted my paper. And then of course, once you are done with the writing and all, the next comes your discussion test, wherein the entire group was divided into further subgroups of, I guess, 20 girls each. Yes, we were 20 girls in one room, and the group that I was part of was so freaking talented, like so freaking talented. So when we entered the room, the first step is to narrate your story. So we were sitting in a semicircle, and all of us were supposed to like individually narrate their stories, and I also did that, and so did everyone. And you know, it was all good. And from the narration itself, you can clearly make out that, oh, this group is intelligent, and I knew it. This is amazing. It's gonna be super duper fire in the group discussion, because the next step is that we all have to discuss together to come out with a common story. So that is the whole idea of the group discussion. And as soon as it was go, it went crazy. Everybody was saying some blah 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 blah. It was just crazy. I remember one of the assessors even commented upon us that तुम लोग यहाँ पे ऑफिसर एंट्री के लिए आए हो या भर्ती के लिए आए हो? Why are you all fighting like crazy people? So we were like, oops, was that offended? But then again, so what we did was that we further subdivided into groups of 10. But despite that, we were still fighting. Not really fighting, but you know what happens in a group discussion. It's like a mad rush. But then somehow we were able to also control, because giving the opportunity to others to speak is also an important aspect of group discussion. Because GD में बोलने से ज़्यादा सुनने की क्षमता होनी चाहिए. So yeah, the bottom line was to come up with a common story. To decide somebody's story is a common story. So the group of 10, you know, there's two separate ones. My group of 10 decided my story to be the common story, and the other decided somebody else's story to be the common story. And yeah, it went good after that. I'll tell you one thing. In group discussion, always make sure that you don't have to speak every time. You just speak twice, thrice, but you speak quality stuff. That is what matters. Make sure that when you speak, everybody listens to you. So that automatically is an example of you being a leader. And if somebody selecting your story as a common story, that also adds up to extra points, because people who have gotten the influence from your story, they liked it, so they like you as a leader. You know, these small things. And of course, your body posture, your facial expressions, no hand movements, and what you speak, the content, all of these really matter in a group discussion. And always remember, you are doing a group discussion, you are narrating your story to your group, so you should never look at the assessor. These are like small things, like basic things. Okay, so yeah, so the group discussion happened, everything went well. And then we had to, so there were two stories which were selected. One was mine and the other was of some other girl. And trust me, my story, like out of the 20 girls, that all of us, only I was the one who wrote a story on afforestation drive. Most of them had stories on either trip planning or, you know, the science experiment, group project, something like that. But I realized one thing, that all of us have the same motto, and that is planning. Together discussing to, you know, plan out and figure out things and then execute it. So that was the commonality I found. And why I'm telling you this is now what you're gonna listen. So after that, sir gave us another 1 minute to decide one common story, and the other girl said that, okay, let's decide my story is a common story. Yeah, I think she said that, or maybe somebody else had. So basically my story was not selected as a common story of the entire 2020 group. And then somebody else said that, okay, let's give the opportunity to chess number 124 to narrate the common story. and from the inside I was like, oh, thank you, but I didn't know what the common story that was selected was, because तब मुझे पता नहीं था. So I was like, oh, okay. But definitely, for a sec I thought that should I give this opportunity of narrating the group's common story to that girl whose story is actually selected, because that should, like, it's her story. Maybe I can narrate something wrong. So that way. But then I also thought if I'm given the opportunity, I should not let it go. If I'm given the opportunity to lead, I will lead. So I went ahead and I began by saying that what is the commonality between all of our stories, and then I narrated my own story, and that was a clear mistake. Yeah, I mean, the assessor did not let me finish my story because they got the idea that, okay, what is the commonality, the thing that I started off with my narration, and then I related the commonality with what my story says. So I used my story as an example, and then yeah. So after that we were asked to leave, and I realized there was a clear mistake, Akanksha, I'm getting screened out. I even called up my friends and I told them that I'm getting screened out, clearly. But I got screened in. So screening test is something that you cannot really trust, like what really gives you the green ticket or what really does not make it up for you. I just don't know. But yes, that was my honest screening test. But let me tell you one thing. What I learned from this entire screening procedure was that you are given just one opportunity. It's like a do or die situation. And if you can portray your strengths in that one opportunity, you are in, darling. Nobody can stop you. Even if you create 10 mistakes, if you have that one quality which is your strength and you are able to portray it out there, you are in. Because with screen in, it's like the assessor is giving you an opportunity to further assess you, to see if you are a recommended person, fit enough to join the training academy or not. So yeah, that was it. And I told that my group was really full of talented girls. I'm going to tell you why. Because from my group of 20 girls, around 5 to 6 got screened in, which is a big number, because generally only 1 or 0 make it. It's like 1 or 2 or maybe 0. But 5 to 6 girls from my group made it, so which was like a big deal. I like where competition is, so really happy. And yeah, after that we had our lunch and we were supposed to wait for the results. And as soon as sir came and he gave us a really boosted up speech, and then he started with the results, I scooped down on my seat. I was like, I'm going back home. But then he said chest number 5 in my roll number, and I was like, this is my roll number, and I moved. And for a second I was like, is it really happening? Is it really happening? I still feel those vibes. I was so happy. I was just thanking God. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to do my best. Now I'm not going to do any more stupid, silly mistakes. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best. Thank you so much. And then we picked up our luggage. We went towards our room and we picked up our documents and straight to the documentation process. So I remember it was around 4:30 or 5ish when the results were announced, and our documentation process lasted till 9:30 p.m. Really long. And as long as it was also very important, because you don't want to get document out, trust me. And secondly, documentation is very important, so I'll suggest please be very sure about documentation and always carry extra photocopies. My application form, I don't know wo kahan gayab ho gaya. So I was like, oh, so sir was like, ab kya kare? But then I had extra photocopies of my application form. So I was like, sir, I have extra photocopies. And sir was like, oh, very good bacche, ye hote hain bacche. I was like, arey wah. So yeah, that also happened. So tip, always carry extra photocopies and always carry your basic stationaries. Do not wait that somebody will borrow, you're going to borrow your stationery from someone else. Always carry your basic stationaries, and by this I mean your glue stick, your scale, your scissor, pencil, eraser, sharpener, extra pen, everything. Okay, always. And yes, while the documentation was going on, we were also asked to fill up our PIQ forms, which is the base of your entire SSB stage 2. And do not underestimate that PIQ form, trust me. I did not, and I made sure that I'm going to fill my PIQ like the best PIQ ever. And by that I mean that I'm going to put my entire self on that PIQ so that usko padh ke the assessor is going to take me seriously, right? So you want to make sure that your PIQ is absolutely clean, neatly done, bold letters, capital letters. No need to do your cursive writing. It has to be absolutely bold. You need to practice your PIQ beforehand many times, and you need to make sure that you do not blabber there. Okay, you just stick to the point and keep it short and crisp, because armed forces doesn't entertain elaborateness. We want short and crisp answer. Thak thak thak. That's it. So PIQ has to be absolutely crystal clear, right? And of course they'll tell you, the staff is going to explain you how to fill the PIQ. It depends from board to board, so we will also explain. Every briefing is going to be there. That's one thing that I love about SSB. They're going to brief you so well that even if you have no idea, you know, like appearing with for the first time, you can still do it because they brief you so well. So another tip, you need to really open up your ears and listen to the briefing carefully and know what they really want from you, right? So PIQ, boys and girls, please practice really hard, right? And then after that you're just supposed to doze off after having dinner. The next day was day 2, psychology tests. Now for psychology tests, again, psychology tests are going to be 4 in number, beginning with TAT, then VAT, then SRT, then STT. Let's talk about them in detail. Now psychology test, understand, is the only test where the assessor, the psychologist, is not going to have a look at your face. He's just going to read what you have written on that paper and tell whether you are recommended or not. So you need to make sure that whatever you write has to be worthy of who you are as a person. So write really good, and by good I mean the content has to be good, what you write, your handwriting, your calligraphy has to be good, neatness has to be there. So let's talk about them in detail, beginning with the first test, which is TAT, Thematic Apperception Test. I hope I pronounced it right. I still don't know. So for this you'll be shown stories. Now unlike the PPDT, these are going to be absolutely crystal clear pictures, no blurriness, nothing. You just have to weave a story. No need to explain the action, no need to explain the characters, just start the story. And again, the whole outline of the story will be hardly 1 or 2 lines for the history, the past, then a lot detailed, well equipped action plan, which is the present, and probably 2 lines for the future. Now for the future, do not keep it self-oriented, that okay, I had a sense of satisfaction on achieving this feat or something. Always keep it with respect to the goal of the story, the action of the story. For example, even for my afforestation drive story, my future, the outcome, the moral lesson was that the village was thriving ahead with respect to its green cover, with respect to gaining its prosperity back, right? It wasn't the success of that girl, my protagonist, that she was able to conduct an afforestation drive. No, the goal was that the village got its green cover back. That was the action, that was the aim, right? The afforestation drive was not the aim. The aim was to get the green cover back. So the success, the outcome of the story has to be with respect to that. So same applies for the TAT also. Now difference between PPDT and TAT is that in PPDT the assessor doesn't know who you are as a person because you haven't filled your PIQ by then. So try to make the story more of like a social value skill or anything, you know, which you feel like is going to be like a good story, like a good action where you can actually create many things happening. But for TAT it can be as simple as possible. It can be anything but in relation to you as a person, because you have filled your PIQ form and now you're going to make sure that whatever you write has to be your personality. It has to be with respect to, say, your favorite activity, your favorite hobbies, or maybe your family, your background, your history, or maybe from where you your belief system or what you are as a person. So whatever stories you're writing, those 12 stories have to be a reflection of you as a person. So keep that in mind. And of course, the OLQs, the base of the entire SSB is OLQs. So always remember that whatever you're writing has to not only showcase what OLQs you possess, but it also has to showcase your personality. right? That was my aim. And whatever stories I wrote, they were very simple, short stories. Whatever first idea came in my mind, the gut feeling came that okay, this will be the theme, and that's it. That was the theme. I did not really move much around the theme, but I did make sure that my action has to be well planned and well detailed, right? So, yep, that was it. And like in TAD, you are basically given 11 plus 1 story. So the plus 1 is basically a blank picture. So for that also, think like what you're gonna write, because you're given the full liberty to think. So really think. Now, giving full independence to that, just make sure that it relates to your PIQ. That's what I'm keeping on repeating. Keeping on repeating. Anyways, after the TAT comes your VAT, word association test. For this, you'll be given 60 words and you have to frame sentences. Again, the sentences have to be short and crisp. That is what I approached for, okay? The sentences were short and crisp. They were solution oriented, right? And they were not facts. They were not basic sentences. They were also trying to portray what I believe in. My belief system was right there portrayed through the sentences. So, yep. And of course, if there's any negative word, always try to give a solution. So that's what I say. It has to be a solution-oriented sentence. I'm not actually going to give you examples right now, but I'm just trying to explain you what the crux was. Okay? Yep. Or maybe should I give you examples? Let me think. Say if there is a word like oh, I cannot think of any word right now, but yeah, we'll discuss this. I want to have another session for the doubts and all. Maybe for that we can discuss about it. So now coming back to VAT, one thing you have to understand that in VAT a lot of words are going to be repeated, okay? Maybe synonyms can be there, and for that you need to showcase your creativity. So you need to write as many different kinds of sentences which are going to depict different sides of your personality as possible. And then after that comes your SRT. For SRT, which is situation reaction test, there will be a booklet right in front. There will be a booklet right in front of you with 60 situations, daily life situations, maybe of theft, maybe of a little accident on the road, or maybe you forgot your wallet somewhere, you're getting late for something, or anything, very basic life situations. And you just have to write what your reaction would be, what you're going to do in that situation as a normal citizen who is a noble citizen, like, you know, active citizen. So that's what you're going to write. And yeah, there will be like 30 minutes given for SRT. So in 30 minutes, that means half a minute, 30 seconds per situation. So time ka shortage bahut hai. And yes, for the TAT and for the VAT, I did not tell you the time, right? Of course, we all know it if you're preparing for SSB, how much less time is there. And that is the whole idea behind psychology. Time is not there. So you have to make sure that your speed is amazing and what you write is to the point. You do not, you know, run around the bushes. No, you do not beat around the bushes. You stick to the point, right? So for the TAT, you're given 3 minutes each per story and 30 seconds to observe the picture. 30 seconds observe, and then the picture will go, it will be black screen, and then you have to write 3 minutes. And then for the VAT, for every word you're given 15 seconds. 15 seconds to see, think and write. And for SRT, per situation you're given half a minute. And I did all TAT stories, I did all VAT sentences, and I did all 60 SRTs. And you know what, even like I've said, you're given a booklet, right? So it's not that there's a time clock happening. Okay, so if you're done with your half a minute, you can just wait. No, there's a booklet, so you can really do everything. So remember, I was done way before time. Like I was having enough time after I'm done with my 60 SRTs that I actually created lines and I did my alignment and I even read few of my SRTs again. So my speed was quite good, I must say. But again, the thing which actually helped me to do all 60 SRTs would be the fact that I did short, crisp and to the point reactions. Of course, there are different kinds of situations. Now, I consider situations to be coming under 2 categories. Number 1, where you cannot really avoid missing out on details. So, there are situations where you have to do a lot of things and you have to do all of them. For example, if there is an accident on road. So, for that, your actions, your reactions, okay, rather should be that you have to you have to first and foremost, obviously, go and give the first aid possible, and then also try to know the number of the not try, don't ever use the word try. Don't, you are going to do it, so don't ever use the word try. So you're going to approach the victim, give first aid, note the number of the vehicle which just passed by, which hit that car, then contact the police, contact the family of the victims, and then get the ambulance there, admit it in the hospital. So there are like a lot of things happening, and you have to write all of them. But then there are other situations where, say, you lost your wallet. Okay, you're traveling in a train and you lost your wallet. Then what you do? So you look around, you find it, you continue your journey. Or maybe I remember this one situation that you're with a lot of luggage in your both hands, and you're at the platform and you see the train is just running, and that is your train, and you're about to miss that train. So what you do? I hurry up, full stop. So whatever the situation is gonna be like, think that do I really need to elaborate so much? Like, what I believe in, that situation को जितना simple ले सकते हो उतना simple लो. You don't have to complicate things in life. Life is very simple. Keep it that way. जिस चीज़ का इतना ये नहीं. Stick to the point, short and crisp. खत्म. Move on in life. Okay? So that was my whole approach for SRT. Moving on from SRT is your SDT, Self Description Test, wherein we actually had to write 5 SDTs. Number 1, what your parents think of you, what your teachers think of you, what your friends think of you, what you are as a person, and lastly your weaknesses, and then what you want to improve in yourself. So for SDT, I wrote it in points, and I wrote 3 points for each SDT, and the first point for my parents, friends and teachers was a gratitude statement. So I started it with writing that I am really blessed to have such supporting parents who know that as the eldest daughter of the family, I am both a sincere student who does her academics and co-curriculars very hard work with a lot of hard work, and at the same time is also a great mentor to her siblings. So same goes for my teachers also. Very, very fortunate to have such empowering teachers who know that I am a hardworking, sincere student who not only takes interest in the class activities but also leads all the given opportunities and all the class activities. Then even for friends, I wrote that I'm very grateful to have such supporting friends who understand me and who appreciate me for me being able to manage my academics, co-curriculars, household chores and leisure time together. So yeah, something like this. So I begin with a gratitude because I genuinely am grateful for the humans who are around me. So before writing that what they think of me, I write that what I think of them and how grateful I am. So that was the beginning of my STT, and then of course the second 2 lines would be that what they think of me. And for that I made sure that I am not only writing Hawa Mein Kahaniyan, but I'm actually proving it through the activities. So as far as my parents are concerned, what my roles are, what Akanksha does for the family, what activities I do for the family which makes my parents be probably proud of me. Same goes for my friends and teachers and even for myself. So you have to prove it, right? And of course, what you are as a person in front of your friend is going to be different what you are as a student, right? Or maybe you are different as a child. But I make sure that whether I am a child, whether I am a student, whether I am a friend, whether I am myself, I am the best. So we were also asked to write like a little weakness as to what weakness my parents think in me. No weakness, I'm the best child. What my teachers, no weakness, I'm the best student. What weakness my friends, no, I'm the best friend. So yeah, I did not write any weakness. And that is these tricks, what I'm telling you is not mere khud ki tricks. These are what my mentors guided me, my friends, my seniors and my officers, my all of these mentors also told me. These are like little tricks that I'm tricks and tips that I'm sharing with you. So yes, then talking about the last one, which is about myself. I showed them that how a boon I am to the forces if I join it, and everything about me, okay? Not only showing that, okay, I'm gonna be the officer and all of the good things about me, but I also make sure that I'm showing them what uniqueness I have. That is very important. And lastly, about the weakness, the idea was that before showing what my weakness is, I'll show that how I'm working for it. So my weakness, like I'll tell you one weakness, that was stamina. So I wrote that I am a courageous woman, though I do lack a little bit of stamina, for which I am working towards, for which I'm working hard with respect to jogging and all the exercises that I'm doing. Something like this, okay, not exactly this, but yeah. So before telling that I lack stamina, I tell that I'm a courageous woman. So just likewise, I believe you should always tell them that if you have a weakness, how you're working for it. Similarly, I would say that I need to work on my intelligence bank, because information keeps on getting updated every second. So for that also I need to work on myself by staying updated. So for that I read newspaper, I stick to current affairs and all of those things. Okay. So yeah, again, SDT, you have to prepare from your home. That's suggested, because on the spot you really cannot pen down every emotion, right? So you make sure that you prepare it beforehand and you practice it a couple of times, because you're given only 15 minutes to write these 5 SDTs. So again, time is the real fighter. And yes, that is it about the entire psychology. Now, to conclude it up, I would say that you have to understand your PIQ well. You have to understand the demands of the courses, and you need to really make sure that you're portraying yourself on the paper. You're not imitating somebody else, right? It is you who you are. And TAT is the most important out of them, because rest are confirmatory tests. And do work on your calligraphy, babies, because you really don't want the psychologist to have a tough time trying to figure out what these letters are before trying to figure out what the words really imply. So practice, practice, practice. Now I remember psychology, the all other tests I used to prepare with my friends. So I have my little group. We are 3 in number, and we would every night practice the psychology tests. So this was one day. It was fun. It was amazing, and they would laugh at my reactions. I would laugh at their reactions. So while this, we would learn a lot. So if you discuss with your friends, if you have like a group of having the same goals, you should definitely do this exercise. Every evening we would have this Google Meet session and discuss all the psychology tests that we would do. Like in the morning, somebody would post in the group and we would solve the answers and all of that. That really, really helped. Secondly, I joined certain Telegram groups where these activities are conducted on a daily basis. Over there also, the same activity done with a bunch of strangers, but you look at their answers, you look at your answers. That also helps. So you can join these WhatsApp groups, these Telegram groups, and together work. When you work together as a team, that really, really empowers your entire preparation. All right, moving on with the next, that is interview. So after psychology, the interview started, and since I was chess number 5, my interview happened on the same day. And let me tell you how it went. So obviously, no matter how great, no matter how greatly socially adaptable you are as a person, because I'm an extrovert and I love talking to people. In fact, interviews like my best part of any assessment, of any test that I go through. I love interviews. But still, you're a little nervous, right? So how do we overcome that nervousness? So I remember when my interview is about to take place, so there's like a screen out there and your number is displayed. So you're just waiting. So you know that next is my turn. Ooh, nervousness. Ooh, anxiety. Lot of feels. So just to overcome that, I slept. Because the number is gonna give you the beep sound, the buzz sound rather. So you have to you'll anyways get informed and stuff. So I slept, and as soon as I woke up, oh, आ गया, let's go. So मुझे time ही नहीं मिला nervous होने का. So you should be lucky rather if you're having your interview in the initial stage. In fact, on day 2 itself, you're lucky because you don't have time to be nervous. So whatever happens in the interview happens at your comfort pace. Okay. Now, how did I prepare for interview? Like I said, interview is my best part. So I always imagine questions. I remember I would do anything. If I'm eating, I'm watching a YouTube video, suddenly मुझे कुछ दिखा which relates to my life or which interests me, I would think, oh, I can be asked a question on this. How would I answer it? Or I would imagine the questions based on my life. How would I answer it? So I would practice these answers. I would keep on talking. I love talking to myself. That's like my best hobby. So I would keep on, imagining and answering. And of course, we all know the rapid fire questions which are asked in the interview, right? The SSB interview rapid fire questions. So that is something that we all know. So practicing that beforehand is also important. And yeah, to be really honest with you, how I actually prepared for interview, I did it. I did it myself. Yeah, I'll tell you how. So there is a copy that I have, my SSB copy. We all have. So in that SSB copy, I wrote about my life. PIQ लिया एक हाथ में पेन लिया, and then PIQ का first क्या है हमारा? Your name. Think. क्या questions बन सकते हैं based on this first? Your name. What is the meaning of your name? How do you relate it to your life? Give me some examples. Write down the answers on your copy. Practice speaking them. That's how I prepared. So on your PIQ, if you see, there are various questions that are asked about your education, about your family, about your hobbies, about your achievements, about any leadership roles that you've played, and even about your attempts, everything. And the place you belong to, what is the population of that place, your nationality, your religion, everything. So you can be asked n number of questions based on that. So I'll give you another example. there's a question like, what are your hobbies? So I wrote, okay, this my hobby. So they can ask me questions about my hobbies, that what I know about it. Is it just a hobby, or do I really enjoy it as a passion? So for that, if I say that vlogging is my hobby, then do I really know about vlogging? What are the professional terminologies with respect to vlogging? And who are professionals who are actually having a career in vlogging? These type of questions. And how I vlog and what I really do about it in my life. What skills are required for vlogging? How is it helping me to develop my personality as a whole? Lots of questions. Then there's a question like, the place where you have lived the maximum number of times in your life. Yeah. So that, for my case, has to be Delhi. So what do I know about Delhi? I belong to history honors, so you can ask me the history of Delhi. So I made sure that I have a separate section dedicated to writing the history of Delhi. And he can ask me about Delhi's culture, about Delhi's multi-dimensional culture, my Delhi University, how it's happening. A lot of questions can be asked based on that, value-based questions, or maybe some statistical questions, lots of things. And then of course, my place, like my roots, where I belong to, that's Uttarakhand. So what I know about Uttarakhand, what I know about my culture, what I know about my history, the politics, the geography, the people, the temperature, anything you can ask me. So I prepared it like that. And then about my family, the name of my father, what does it mean? The name of my mother, what does she do? What is her age? What she has done throughout her life? My siblings, how I am towards my family, my role in the family, what my family does together. As a family, what are the activities we do together? How have I contributed to my family? As the eldest daughter, what I have done for my siblings, what my siblings do, how did I help them prepare for whatever course or whatever career they are doing, etc., etc. Lots of questions. Lots. And then he's going to ask you questions about your education qualifications. He's going to ask you what subjects you chose, and what were the decisions you took, and lots. I can go on and on when it comes to interview. So one thing that you understand is that PIQ लिया, पेन लिया, and साथ में बनाया. That is it as far as how you should prepare for your interview is concerned. That is it. And of course, side में phone भी लिया, ये laptop लिया, जिसमें internet चल रहा है, so that you can see होता है. Okay. And then read it every day. Okay. And yes, I can give you one little tip. If your father is serving in the armed forces and you are also going to join the armed forces, so you should know about the history of your father's service. That is going to tell, number one, your relationship with your father, because you are interested in talking and knowing about what he does, and that is why you have developed your interest for the armed forces. So all of these. And of course, while you're writing down these things, understand that you have to prove it through your incidents in life, because like I've said, has to be in synchronization. So for that, prove those things that you're saying through your examples, through incidents that have happened in life. Talk about friendship, your friends. Do you know about their families, your friends' background? Where do they come from? What is the commonality between you guys? Any incident where you help them, any incident where they help you, etc., etc. There can be anything that they can ask you, right? He's going to ask you about your strengths, weaknesses, and about your NCC life, like NCC entries, NCC life, whatever entry you're choosing, questions like that, previous attempts he can ask you, lots of questions. So I remember, I'm going to give you some tips what happened in my interview. So I entered the room confidently. जहाँ भी जाता है सबको पता चल जाता है कांक्षा आ रही है. This should be in your head. That was what was in my head. Enter like that, stiff, straight, everything, and then sit आराम से. Take your time. Remove your mask, everything if you want to do that. If he's asking you to do that, sit confidently. He's gonna ask you a couple of questions to just calm you down. And the first question he asked me was, Akanksha, how are you? I'm very excited, sir. Ooh, why are you excited? Because interview is my best part. This is the opportunity where I'll be interacting one-on-one. So really looking forward to it. Something like that I said. So yeah, that's how it started. And then a couple of questions to just calm me down, and he started off with the entire PIQ. And like I've said, the PIQ is the base of the personal interview, right? It is a personal interview, it's going to be about you. He wants to know who you are as a person. So make sure that you sell yourself only as much as it is required. तुम जितना ज़्यादा बोलोगे उतना ज़्यादा वो तुम्हें जानने की कोशिश करेगा. So सिर्फ उतना बताओ जितना चाहिए. Because like I've said, we do not, like at armed forces, they do not appreciate, they do not entertain elaborativeness, elaborations, whatever. They want short and crisp answers. That's what. Stick to the point. You don't have to elaborate yourself. Please just avoid doing that, right? And yeah, keep your expressions very, to the point. I remember I was not constantly looking at him. No. When he is saying something, I look at him. I will not answer instantly, never. I will take a second or two, or will think about it by looking here and there, or something like, normally जैसे हम बात करते हैं friends के साथ भी या seniors के साथ या whatever. And then when I'll speak with confidence, बिल्कुल आँखों में आँखें डाल के, because I know what I mean, and I will mean my words, like that. And of course, eyebrows, not like too much, but you know what I mean. Your facial expressions create a lot of points. And of course your body language, everything. So that has to be kept in your mind, right? Because you're not talking to your friend, you're not talking to a stranger, you're talking to a really senior official of the armed forces who is much smarter than you, who has assessed so many that you can't really be the smarty pants here. So be really, really careful with what you speak, okay? And even if you're thinking of saying a lie, you really need to be careful with that. I'm not saying that you have to be absolutely honest. Even I spoke lies, like many times. But you have to be clever about it. कितना बोलना है, कितना नहीं बोलना है, right? And of course, before my SSB interview, I was told this many times. In fact, I was threatened that your interview is going to be really, really, like strong, and he's going to like threaten you, and he's going to like make you really, he's going to put you into situations and turn you down and etc. And that was somewhere happening, but then I did not let it affect me, because why to let it affect me, right? Come on, he's not gonna eat me up. So yeah, you just have to understand. अगर आप उसका stress ले रहे हो, अगर आप दिखा रहे हो that मुझे थोड़ा डर लग रहा है या मैं कुछ गलत, I mean, you're giving the interview to become an army officer, an armed forces officer to be precise. Be that one. अगर पहले से ही दिमाग में है that I'm already selected, then automatically you will behave that way, and you won't be nervous at all. And yeah, my interview was just like me. I was like myself, chill. But when it comes to certain things, I mean complete business, so I'm gonna behave that way. But then I also made the interviewer laugh at certain points. And yes, the current affairs questions, he had like a list of questions to ask me as far as my GK is concerned. And whatever I was able to answer, I answered. Whatever I wasn't able to answer, I did not answer. And there was even some reactions like, oh, you don't know this? I was like, sir, I do have an idea, but I'm going to give you the correct information. I'm not going to give you hazy information. It's either a right information or wrong information, so I don't know about this answer. That's what I generally do also. So yeah, current affairs mein you know, you don't know. There is no middle dangling in between. So always keep that in mind. And the last was, give me your strengths and weaknesses. and I told him, of course, I'm a courageous woman, but I do like stamina, for which I'm working like this. That was my first weakness. And the second was that, so I also believe I need to upgrade my intelligence bank, which is quite evident a couple of minutes ago. I need help because I wasn't able to answer a lot of those current affairs questions. So yeah, that happened. But then in the end, it all went well. My interview lasted for like 45 minutes only, I guess. And he said that, okay, great. It was nice talking to you, Akanksha, Yumili. Thank you, sir. It was amazing talking to you. Have a good day. So yeah, pretty much that was it. Am I missing out on something as far as interview is concerned? No. No. Yes, do know what you want to do in the army, right? If you're joining the forces, what really you want to do, that also should be clear in your head. You can't just say that, I guess, no. You either know or you don't know. That's it. After my interview, I was relaxed because next is your ground test. So next, day 3 and day 4 were completely dedicated to GT ground tests. 9 tasks in totality, and I've been speaking constantly for 1 hour now, but like I've told you, it's going to be a long video. But let's do this. I'm having fun reliving all those memories. Next day, really early morning fallen hua, and we were supposed to report. And I remember the entire group of 33 girls were further divided into groups of 4, and each group was allotted a GTO, ground test officer. Did I said it right? I hope. So basically, sir was there to guide us, to brief us, to assess us throughout those 9 tasks. Okay, so I'm going to quickly tell you what each task was meant for. Now, to be really honest with you, GTO, if I think about the ground tests, I did not really prepare every test, because not every test you can really prepare at home. So I'm going to tell you test-wise. Beginning with the first, that was group discussion. 2 group discussions, each of like 15 to 20 minutes each, with no conclusion, right? It's just a normal group discussion. And for the first group discussion, there will be 2 topics given. Your group has to choose one. We chose the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and the exact topic that our group chose was that रशिया और यूक्रेन के बीच में हो रहे युद्ध को रोकने का एकमात्र उपाय क्या है? Number 1, economic sanctions. Number 2, political talks. Number 3, armed conflicts. And I chose economic sanctions, and so did majority of us. And trust me, okay, good tip coming right away. Before the GTs even began, I told my group, and so does everybody agreed, and so does everybody related, that we are gonna do this together as a group. यहाँ पे कोई बॉस बनने नहीं आया है. We are totally free and we must showcase our leadership qualities, but we have to work together as a group. So before you even start your group tasks, you have to understand group tasks, ground tasks, whatever they are called. Talk to your group, make a plan. We're gonna work together as a group, because trust me, या तो हम सब जीतेंगे या हम एक की वजह से पूरे ग्रुप को डुबा देंगे. Because here it's never you, it's us. NCC taught me that unity comes before discipline. So that is extremely important. Okay, have the discussion. अगर आपका ग्रुप अच्छा है, not only you're gonna do your task really good, but also you're gonna have fun. That's the whole point. So coming back to GD, we had a really healthy GD. Everybody gave each other opportunity, and we did it really well, like proper ladies. And then the second topic, which was which like we were not having any choice, sir gave us, and that was that even after 75 years of independence, we have reservation for women. Why do you think it is required? Number 1, the government should come up with more more, what do we call it, more opportunities for women, or more such options and etc., whatever, for women to help them grow. Secondly, the society has got the mentality even till date against women. And thirdly, whatever you want to say. So I stick to the society mentality, because it all comes down to that. So again, we had a really healthy discussion and we spoke to the point. Now in GD, what I'll say is, listen and then speak. It's a group discussion. It's not your individual narration going on. So, jo man mein aaye wo bol diya. No. Everything has to be woven together like a web. So whatever she spoke, you have to add to it. Okay? You have to always add keep on adding, and that's how a group discussion goes ahead. That's one thing. Secondly, your body posture, your expressions, you're looking into the eyes of the people. It has to look like you're doing a group discussion, not like you are speaking a speech like an autocratic leader, right? That is important. I always give more points to the body language, to expressions, to the fluency, to the pitch, to the overall speaking skills, if I can say so. So yeah, that is important. And of course, you need to give other opportunities. You need to take the opportunity. You have to make sure it's not becoming a fish market. And yes, your content is going to give you marks, definitely. If you know statistics, that's going to give you marks, no doubt about that. But at the same time, if something happens like you don't know anything about the topic at all, then listen and try to relate to it, because ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि आपको कुछ भी नहीं आता या आपने सुना ही नहीं है वो चीज़. So always relate it with your life. Or even if it happens, God forbid, like you don't know anything at all about the topic, then you listen to others and you relate it to your personal life and you give your personal life examples. Like I'll give you, जो second GD था for the women topic, somebody said that men will always be the real boss and patriarchal society में हम रहते हैं and everything. But I told them that hey, my mom is the boss of my family. So things like this will help. Or even, and then why I'm saying is that this was a good point, because then after that she wasn't able to say anything further, right? So that clearly speaks for itself. And yes, of course, always remember, when you speak, you complete your statement. You never stop in between. You always complete your statement and you always make sure people listen to you. So that will come with the way you speak. And yeah, of course, rest of the GD tips, there can be a detailed video on that, but these are the basics which I believe. And after the GD comes your GPE, group planning exercise, which is so fun. Group planning exercise is super duper fun. Now I'm going to give you the tips and the tricks for that. Okay, what I believe. First and foremost, the map which is right there in front of you on the ground. You have to look at it carefully. So basically there will be like a wooden map, some map symbols given. You have to go from here to here. There will be a scale, kacha road, pakka road, railway track, dhaba, temple, forest, etc. And then you'll be given a situation that you are a group of these many जो आप अभी फ़िलहाल available हो, and then you're going from here to here, and in between you come to a point, then you are waiting there. Suddenly the person comes with a little problem, and as soon as you're approaching to that, second person comes with a problem, and as soon as you approach to that, third person comes with a problem, and as soon as you approach to that, there's another problem. So basically 4 to 5 problems will be there उसी समय. So now, as intelligent and noble citizens, what will you do? That's the whole point. And now what we have to do is, we have to figure out solutions as a group. Okay, so what is the rule, like what is the steps that I'm going to follow here? Number one, priority. You have to prioritize the problems. You have to see what requires urgent what requires urgent notice. Yeah. So for that, saving the human life is extremely important and top priority. Second would be mass destruction, something which is leading to mass destruction, like maybe like a railway track accident, or maybe like a loot in the village or anything. Third can be a semi-mass destruction, or something which is going to take a little time more, like it's going to take some time for it to happen or something like that. And lastly will be something which is not really hampering somebody else, maybe say किसी का पेट एनिमल या डोमेस्टिक एनिमल गुम हो गया, या किसी के बच्चे की फीस पे करनी है, आज लास्ट डेट है, something like this, normal problems. So once you're done with prioritizing the problems, so you're given a sheet, you have to write it down on that. Okay, you prioritize your problems, and then comes your resources. Now for the resources, not only in the narration which is announced to you, like the narration will be there for the entire problem, you will even get an opportunity to read it yourself. So you have to clearly see what are the resources available through that text, and you also have to have a look at the map, because कुछ चीज़ें होती हैं जो लिखित में नहीं मिलती है, जो मैप में दिखती हैं हमें. For example, अगर आपको पक्का रोड दिख रहा है तो obvious की बात है that there are going to be vehicles running, so you can take lift. If you're on the kacha road, you can't really expect a lot of vehicles. If there is a railway crossing, there's going to be like a road passing through that railway track. Obviously there's going to be someone who's managing this, so there's a guy who's there who can manage this and who can control the railway track and stuff and all like that. And then of course if there is a forest area and there is like a forest official ka koi office, so obviously people are going to be there and things like that. There are going to be directions given, a lot of things you can expect. There's a dhaba, you will expect people to be there, and so much more. So अपने resources को बहुत ही ध्यान से देखोगे and resources को paper पे लिखोगे that okay, these are my resources available. Once you're done with these two, then you start with dividing your groups into team of 4, 3, whatever the priority says, and then you give each other tasks that okay, 2 people will take this, we'll go here, time taken, distance traveled, problem solved. Next priority, 2 people or 3 people will take this, do this, ऐसे करके you'll solve the entire problems. And then finally the problem is not solved until and unless you all together meet at a point and you are reaching to your destination, which was the actual aim of you stepping out on that zone, right? So think cleverly and think very intelligently in this case, right? Now after you're done with your individual solution, you are going to submit your paper to the assessor, and then you're going to have a group discussion. Oh, they love group discussion, I tell you. We're going to have a group discussion, come out with a common solution. Obviously, most of us will have common solutions only, but then still there can be little ups and downs, so you have to together discuss and come out with a common solution. And once that is done, one person will be nominated to narrate the common solution. And in my group of 7, we were 7 girls, I was selected to narrate the common story. So I had the pointer in my hand, which reminded me of my flag area days, RDC pointer, and then you have to point and say. So yeah, through that pointer I had to point on that map, and then I have to explain it to sir what our common solution is. That's 2 people here, tuck tuck tuck, 3 people here, tuck tuk tuk, and then in the end we did tuk tuk tuck. Yeah, that happened. And one thing that I'm going to tell you is that after I was done with my narration, the assessor may ask that are you all satisfied with what your leader has said. In case you say no, I do want to add something. If you genuinely feel that is required and that person missed it, then you must speak. Otherwise, then you must speak, and with the way, there's a way to approach things. You'll have to say that she did exactly the way we together as a group planned, but then I feel this is what a little detail she missed and I would like to add it. Something like this, always remember, if you have to approach to something, you have to approach it very professionally. Why I'm saying this, because you as a part of that group nominated your leader. So if you're going against the leader, that showcases not only that your leader was not, that not only showcases that leader jo selected was somewhere not a good leader, but at the same point you are, you're standing at a controversy against your own self, that you selected the leader and you're saying that ye cheez miss out hai. These are like again small things. So always and always stick to the group, because if you stick to the group, you are a group member, and that is what we are assessing you as far as the ground tests are concerned. I'm saying this as if I'm a GTO, but yeah. Alright, so GP is done. Yes. And after GPE, what we had? Oops, I don't remember. But I'm going to tell you what actually happened. The group obstacle race. The most fun activity. So I'm going to tell you what really happens here. All the 4 groups are going to come together for a race. The race is going to be having a snake in your hand. So all 7 members of us, all the members will stand like in a queue. They're going to have like a rassi, a mota rassi, which is going to be like a snake. They all have to hold it so that they all together form a line, ek dusre ke piche, and then they have to run across some obstacles, and then they have to win the race. And you just don't have to run across those obstacles. Those obstacles are really huge ones and the real life ones. And by that I really mean, I'm going to give you details of that. And also the fact that you have to avoid yourself from touching the penalties, right? There are like red paints, you don't have to touch the red part. So all those also things have to be kept in mind. Then there are rules to follow, that the snake must not, become shorter in length if you just try to hold it or something, and at least these many number of people should be holding it at one time, and etc, etc. It's fun, let me tell you, because we need to have our own war cry, we need to shout it, we need to work together as a group, we need to cheer the other person who is left behind or who's whatever. And सबसे best was GOR or snake race or group obstacle race, whatever you may call it as. And as far as my obstacles, which I faced with my group in Bhopal is concerned, they were very like, we had the figure of 8 as one obstacle, then we had the wall and then a beam and then wall, then jump down, and then we had the net climbing. Basically you have to climb and then you have to come down, and that's like a huge, I think it was really like, the height was amazing. And then there's one ramp you have to, there's like a log, a wooden log, you have to climb up the log, and then you have to slide through a ramp. There is no support, nothing at all, so you need to make sure that the balance is amazing out there. And many other things as well, like many things. So I'm going to tell you a little incident. Everything went well. Now for this, first and foremost, have a look at your group, okay, and decide who has got the better strength. Like, we all have our own strengths as far as physical strength is concerned. So the one who is like the most active, most fittest should be in the beginning, or the one who can lift others to climb up the wall should be in the end, obviously. And then the middle ones can be the ones who are like ठीक ठाक sort of. So depending on the obstacles, you have to figure out your team and सबको आगे पीछे इस हिसाब से खड़ा कर दो. And then of course, keep in your mind rules को भी, and cheer your people. That should be the entire throughout process में. Cheer your people, cheer them up, cheer them up, cheer them up, cheer them up. Now I'll tell you one little incident. Everything went well. In fact, we were like coming first. But let me tell you, nobody really comes first or last in GOR, because जो हमारे GTOs है, they make sure that nobody is coming first and nobody is coming last. वो हमें penalties के चक्कर में वापस से कोई obstacle करवा देंगे, या फिर हमसे penalties के वजह से रुक के हमसे counting करवाएंगे, how many penalties, this. So the whole idea is to learn unity and enjoy it, and that's what I love about it. There's no competition, it's just fun. Have fun. So I'm gonna tell you one incident जिसकी वजह से हमने, जैसे कि आप जानते हैं, हमें कांड करने की बड़ी अच्छी आदत है. तो हम जहाँ भी जाते हैं अपना नाम रोशन करके आते हैं. एक कांड तो हम करके ही आते, तो यहाँ पे हम बताते हैं हमने क्या करा था. So there was this one obstacle in which you have to basically climb a wall, and then there's a little beam in between. It's like a wooden log. You have to walk on that beam, balance बना के, and then there's another wall, and then you jump. So मैं wall पे चढ़ गया था. In fact, I was able to pull everyone up. So मैंने सबको ऊपर भी खींचा था, and I was the last person to walk on that beam. And मुझे पहले से ही लग रहा था मैं कुछ गड़बड़ करने वाली, because I don't know, maybe yeah. So मैंने ये करा नहीं, या maybe whatever happened, मैं जैसी I was like walking on that beam, टक that happened. I swear to God. And मैं गिरी तो ऐसी नहीं गिरी कि मैं बैठ गई, नहीं, मैं ऐसे हो गई थी. Like this was the wooden log, मैंने उसे हाथ से पकड़ा और मैं ऐसे हो गई थी. And then instantly, within no time, I stood up and I jumped. Wall से नीचे गिर गई थी. I mean, I stood up and then मैं wall से नीचे गिर गई, back on the track. But yeah, that happened, and thug happened, and I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. Nothing happened. उस समय मुझे बिल्कुल भी लगा नहीं कि कुछ हो गया. But then after that, I realized that I was the center of attraction to be a new clown. And I remember उसके बाद जो भी मिल रहा था, we were in group, we would talk, after the entire ground tests were done, we were back in our rooms, and everybody would, like, जिन्होंने भी वो देखा, they would tell others, and they would come, have a good laugh, and I was like, बड़े मजे आए. Everybody would ask me this question, तुम्हें लगा नहीं, and trust me, नहीं लगा. After that I saw some scratches and all, but then it was all fine, so I had fun. But that happened. Okay, moving on. And after that, what? So after that, I was done with everything. GOR, it went amazing, and our war cry was super duper amazing. I remember, what was it? We are tigers, hardcore fighters. That was our war cry. So pretty amazing. I know, talented girls, I tell you, really talented. Moving on, I'm gonna now come to PGT, HGT, and even gonna tell you about FGT and command task. So now we have progressive group task, half group task, final group task, out of which progressive group task and half group task took place day 1 of GT, and the final group task was the last task of the entire GTO ground tests, which happened on the last day, which was day 4 for ground tests. Now what really happens, all of these three are going to have the same process, the same model. That's what I'm going to tell you. So there are going to be structures, there's going to be a start line, there's going to be a finish line. You have to, again, walk through the structures. You have to have your helping materials with you, which is a bali, which is a fatta, which is a rassi, and a load. And all the members of the group have to cross the finish line and reach the start line. In progressive group task, as the name suggests, there are levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4. And these structures which are there in between can be like a brick, or maybe some structures like having a particular shape, maybe triangular, maybe movable or whatever, and they are painted white where you can land yourself and your helping material, blue where only you can land, red where nothing can touch. There are a lot of rules. Bottom line, it's super duper fun. So for PGT, HGT, FGT, I'll suggest watch YouTube videos and you will get your mind clear, because it's so cool. Like, just one thing. But I remember I did not really like watch enough YouTube videos for these, because मैं जल्दी बोर हो गई थी. I'm like, मुझे लाइव देखने में ज़्यादा मज़ा आएगा, लाइव करने में ज़्यादा मज़ा आएगा, और मैंने इतना वीडियोस नहीं देखा था, because वहाँ जाके the briefing of the GTO was so good. Sir gave us such a good briefing, and he was even giving in points in between, and I could listen to what other girls were doing, that अपने आप दिमाग दौड़ता है and अपने आप तुम्हें समझ में आ जाता है चीज़ें. Just a few things, few agendas, and use them in all of your levels for PGT and HGT में तो एक ही level होता है, but yeah, either ways, and you are done. Just have to use your mind. Now for these tasks, I will suggest that be a group member. I was not the most enthusiastic who was doing, oh let's do, oh I will do, no, I was not that. I was myself who is like, will listen to others, will give in my points जब ज़रूरत पड़ेगी, and जहाँ मेरी ज़रूरत होगी I'll do it. Otherwise I'll give others the mauka to go and do it. And yeah, that's the kind of person I am. And जहाँ पे मुझे बोलना है, I'll say it. I'll not speak faltu, but I'll speak to the point, sort of like that. So yeah, PGT happened, and then HGT also happened. Half group task is only one level, wherein the PGT group is divided into two, so that people who could not speak much in the PGT will now speak because the group is smaller. So this is like an opportunity given, right? So make use of that. And of course, it all went really good, because like I've said, my group was mashallah. So PGT, HGT happened, and then Lecturette, my favorite task. So for Lecturette, how did I prepare? There were n number of topics to prepare from. I had a list, and I had to prepare on those lecturettes. हाँ? नहीं डेटा, give me some time, मैं एक वीडियो बना रहा हूँ. ऐसी थोड़ी देर के लिए. Thank you. So coming back, I'm so sorry. Okay, so Lecturette, I had a list of topics, and I was supposed to use my SSB notebook and write down those topics. One page dedicated to every topic, and Internet Baba was there to help me, and of course I prepared the topics. And by that list I mean I had like over 150 topics or more than that. But did I prepare all of them? I don't think so. Because you never know, Lecturette mein whatever topic may come, So the format is that there will be 4 topics given. You have to choose one topic, and out of those 4, generally the order is that one topic will be super duper hard, 2 will be average, 1 will be super duper easy. And it's like said that if you choose the difficult topic, it will give an impression that you know about it, you're intelligent and stuff. True, to some extent. I'll tell you my experience. So of course we were given 3 minutes to prepare. Like, you take the card, you go dur mein, you're given 3 minutes, prepare, then come back, speak for 3 minutes, 2:30 pe warning bell bajega, done, your Lecturette is done. Now, am I Google Baba that I'm supposed to know about everything that's happening worldwide? Of course not, right? There will be topics जिनके बारे में मुझे ज़्यादा पता है, there will be topics जिनके बारे में मुझे कुछ भी नहीं पता है. So what is the point of conducting this Lecturette? The point is that as an armed forces officer, you're supposed to address section of men, platoon, battalion, etc. So do you have enough guts, enough confidence as far as your public speaking skills are concerned? That is what is assessed here. They are not assessing how much knowledge you have. Though that can give you plus points, definitely, because if you do not know what you are speaking, if you do not know the content, like, yeah. But they're going to check more of how you are speaking. So remember that why a lecturate is conducted. And this goes for every task of SSB, that why this test is conducted. Understand it, and you'll get your answer. So as far as lecturate is concerned, I remember we were 7 girls, and other than me, every girl chose a really intelligent topic, like impressive. They had guts, and they did not just chose those topics, but they also spoke really well, like really well, very good. Now मुझे जो topics मिले थे, I picked my card, went पेड़ के पास, and I saw. There was this one topic जो मुझे अभी भी याद नहीं है, because वो इतना ज़्यादा खतरनाक था. Then दूसरा topic was yoga, a gift from India to outside world. The third topic was impact of television in our daily life. And the fourth topic was foreign universities in India. And मैंने choose करा impact of television in our daily life. बहुत ही फुद्दू topic है, I know, but I chose that because not only could I relate to the topic, but also had enough to speak on it. So I was thinking, Akanksha, topic थोड़ा बड़ों वाला लेते हैं. But then I was like, check it, let's go by the gut feeling. So 3 minutes over हुए. उन 3 मिनट्स में मैंने डिसाइड करा मेरा फॉर्मेट कैसा होगा लेक्चरेट का. What am I going to speak about? I'm going to start with an introduction as to how I relate to this topic, as to how important televisions are to this entire world. As a consumer point of view, what is the role of television, how it impacts in our daily life. As someone who's producing it, how it impacts to our daily life. The fact that television industry is giving opportunity of employment to so many people. There's not just actors, but there are producers, writers, setsmen, lightsmen, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of things from that point of view. And so I could relate it to the employment and to the development of the country. Then of course, through consumers, it comes as an entertainment, so it helps us build our family relations. Bond, we learn about family because we spend time. I also said that my family and I enjoy watching Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma. So all that. And then of course, the fact that it also helps you to fight for your stress, for your anxiety, so it adds to your mental health. So that is also what I said. And a lot of things I also related to what I do, like things and all. And the fact that now OTT is taking place and we have internet, we have YouTube, and even on television we can watch these things, like so much happening, Netflix, etc, etc, etc. So I spoke, and I spoke for more than 230 minutes. So yeah, that happened, and my lecturate was super duper fun. I had fun because I love to speak, how much. And when given an audience, and when I am the one who's speaking, bang on, that is the opportunity I wait for my entire life. So yeah. The lecturate went very well, and after the lecturate was done, I guess we were done with our day 1. Then comes day 2, and we had GT, next tasks. The first thing was individual obstacles. Now for individual obstacles, there are in total 10 obstacles, and it is like an individual game. This is just like lecturate, it's your individual performance, it's not a group task. So what happens is that you're given 3 minutes to run across those 10 obstacles, out of which as a female I am having 2 as optional, that even if I do them, it will be taken note of, but marks will not be allotted. So every obstacle has got certain marks, and it completely depends on the difficulty level. Obviously, if you think about a Burma bridge, that's going to get more marks as compared to a single ramp. So you have to basically have a look around. Okay, these are obstacles because these are like spread on like a piece of ground, and you just have to decide which obstacle I'm going to go first, and then. So that is one thing that you need to plan in your head. Then of course use your stamina and do it. अगर गलती हो जाती है, पेनल्टी लगती है, उसे वापस करोगे अगर तुम पूरा नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो, बट उसे करोगे और अच्छे से करोगे. So that is the whole point of individual obstacles. I'm going to tell you what happened in my individual obstacles. Of course, like I've said, I'm so lucky to be surrounded by such amazing humans around me that I received this opportunity to get myself trained for individual obstacles at a real 4G individual obstacle ground. And I went there. It was honestly my first time doing obstacles, because despite being in NCC, I could never really get the actual opportunity to run on the obstacles and stuff, thanks to the pandemic also. But anyways, I went and I did it, and like I said, it was a foggy ground, so it was tougher, it was bigger, larger and मैंने अपने पूरे हाथ पैर सब छिलवा लिए थे. बट उससे मुझे एक सीख मिली थी दैट कभी भी जोश में होश नहीं खोना चाहिए. एंड आई हैड टू प्रूव माई सेल्फ बिकॉज लाइक उस समय मेरे आसपास कोई और नहीं था. आई वॉज द वन हु वाज ट्रेनिंग माई सेल्फ, and obviously मेरे against was the real ustad, and I had to like do my best and prove and all. So हो जाता है. But then lesson learned, so gonna keep that in mind, and that is what I kept in my mind for the individual obstacles which took place in SSB Center Bhopal. I'm going to tell you what exactly happened. मैंने अपने strengths के हिसाब से, अपने stamina के हिसाब से obstacles को distribute करा, and I did it, and I could do 6.5 out of the 8 obstacles. Yeah, 6.5 or 7.5? 7.5. 7.5. So there is this one called as Tarzan swing. You have to okay, let me say what are the obstacles. The first one that I chose was commando walk. So you have to climb up. There is a very patla plank जिसके ऊपर you have to walk, then again climb up, and then on top of that you have to shout commando and then come down. So इसमें balance is extremely important. Why I chose commando walk as my first obstacle? Because I knew that बाद में भाग के दौड़ के मेरी सांस ऊपर नीचे होगी तो मेरे पैर कांप सकते हैं, and obviously टक 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 के इंसिडेंट की वजह से I knew that मुझे अपने पैरों को कंट्रोल में रखना है. So इसलिए that was my first, and that had the maximum marks also. Done with that, and then after that मुझे जो जो मिला मैं करती गई, जो आसपास था. So like there's this one which is called as drum. There are like drums kept, and you have to jump across those drums. So भाग के आना है and then दौड़ के जाना है. So all of that, and you have to maintain your momentum at that time also. All these things also have to be kept in mind. Then there is one Burma bridge. You have to climb, you have to hold the rope, नीचे भी rope है, ऊपर भी rope, and then slide. Now in this you have to make sure that you don't pick up your feet, because if you do that, balance बिगड़ेगा and you can fall down and you can break your bones. So you have to do slide. And then there is one which is called a double jump. So you climb up to a surface, there's the surface, then you jump to another surface, and then you jump ground पे. Now over here you have to maintain your balance. Now for this, what trick that I was told by my ustad during when I was practicing was that कभी भी jump कहीं भी करोगे, like whether this or anywhere, you know there's a single ramp, you have to दौड़ के आना है, ramp में चढ़ना है, and then jump नीचे. So जब भी jump करोगे हमेशा आगे को jump करो, कभी भी squat position में jump करो और दोनों पैरों पे jump करो, एक में नहीं, दोनों में jump करो और आगे की तरफ jump करो. Because जैसे मैंने बताया, इसमें जंप करके दूसरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे आए, अगर तुम थोड़ा भी पीछे हो तो तुम नीचे गिर जाओगे, यू कैन ब्रेक योर हेड एंड स्टफ एंड ऑल. कभी भी आगे को जंप करो. तो दिस वाज इन माय हेड. एंड देन देयर इज दिस वन व्हिच इज कॉल्ड एज अ स्क्रीन जंप. सो देयर यू हैव टू रन, देयर यू हैव टू रन ऑन द रैम्प, एंड देन देयर इज अ स्क्रीन जो कि उसके रैम्प के आगे है, देन यू हैव टू जंप उसके ऊपर से. तो वहाँ पे इफ़ यू स्टॉप तुम्हारा सब बैलेंस सब बिगड़ जाएगा. सो यू हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट एक ही बारी में आके यू जंप. So a lot of stamina is required when it comes to all of these things. So starting से ही calm down and stretching and all करके जाना, that will help. Now there is this one called as Tarzan swing. So you have to basically climb up to a surface, rope को पकड़ना and swing करते हुए एक लेवल आता है मार्किंग, उसके आगे रोल करके गिरना है, रस्सी छोड़ना है, गिरना है. मैं चढ़ी, रस्सी पकड़ा, एंड आई रियलाइज रस्सी बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रिक्शनलेस हो रखी है बिकॉज इट वॉज ऑल स्लिदर्ड ऑलरेडी, एंड आई न्यू दैट माई आर्म्स आर नॉट माई फ्रेंड्स राइट नाउ, सो दे गोना लेट मी लूज दिस. एंड सिंस आई टोल्ड यू एक लाइन के आगे ही आपको जंप करना है, सो अगर मैं नहीं करूँगी आई विल नॉट गेट माई मार्क्स. सो देयर इज नो पॉइंट ऑफ छिलाविंग माई हैंड्स. सो आई थॉट चक इट, ये लो सर, नहीं करना, मैं उतर गई. Now this moment probably created a negative impact because लड़की ने हार मान ली. But in my head that did not came at all because मेरे दो और obstacles रहते थे. Time was running short. I thought I'll do them first because they were easy ones, single ramp and balancing beam, and then after that I can come and redo it. That was what was in my head because I did not want to break myself. So yeah, but then I did my single ramp, got my marks. I was doing a balancing beam, आधा करा और तभी time up हो गया. तो मैं बैलेंसिंग बीम आधा ही कर पाई और ये टार्जन वाला नहीं कर पाई. बट देन समवेयर आई आल्सो फील अगर मैं कर ही लेती कितना ही टाइम वेस्ट होता. आई वेस्टेड माई टाइम क्लाइंबिंग एंड देन थिंकिंग एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. So yeah, that was a little thing I did, and I'll suggest you learn from my experience. Always think before you step onto an obstacle. Do it only if you feel that you genuinely can do it. पहले से सोच के रखो. अगर मैंने टार्गेट स्विंग के लिए पहले से सोच के रखा होता, then probably I would have saved my time. I would have completed my balancing beam, and also probably would have done that, right? But then again, you learn from your experiences, and that's what I did. Individual obstacles done. The next was command task. So for the command task, you are the commander. So what really happens is you're gonna have first an informal interview sort of with your GTO. He's gonna ask you certain questions, just like my GTO did. It was very, very like too gentleman. Duh. And then it was very good. Like I said, interview is my thing. So I had a really good talk with him, and then after that I was shown my obstacle. So in this, like I said, this is again a command task. So rest of your team is somewhere sitting दूर कोने में. It's just you and the GTO at that time. So you will see your field क्या करना है, and mine was, this is start line, that is finish line. रास्ते में 3 obstacles. It was a clear PGT and I had to do it. I have to call 2 people from my group, subordinates. चिल्लाओ उन्हें बुलाओ. I called 2 of them. And इसमें कहा जाता है कि आपको सबसे ज़्यादा बार अगर बुलाया जाता है, then you are in the good thing. Let me tell you, don't go for that. Trust me. पहले से अपने ग्रुप के साथ डिस्कस करो कि हम सबको इक्वल मौका देंगे. एंड वही मेरे ग्रुप ने करा. सबको 2-2 बार चांस मिली, क्योंकि सबको कमांडर बनने का मौका मिलता है, तो सबको 2 बार चांस मिला. एंड ऐसे हमने क्या प्रूव करा, दैट वी आर अ ग्रुप मेंबर. सो येस, दैट वाज द होल थिंग विच आई लव अबाउट इट. सो सबको मौका मिला, एंड उस हिसाब से आई कॉल 2 ऑफ माई सबऑर्डिनेट्स, एंड देन आई फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट इंट्रोड्यूस्ड, दिस इज आवर टास्क, वी हैव टू डू दिस, दिस इज आवर हेल्पिंग मटीरियल का सामान का लिस्ट, द बल्ली, द फट्टा, द रस्सी, and the load. No, the load wasn't there. So yeah, let's do this. So you are the commander, you take charge. That's the best part. So you are gonna lead them, solve the problems. So now let me share my experiences. Was I able to do it in one go? No. बीच में ऐसा मौका आया था जब I wasn't able to figure out अब आगे क्या करें, तो समझ नहीं आ रहा था क्या करें. But then I took my time, I thought about it, I looked at it ध्यान से, and then solution निकल आया. कभी भी अपने आप को स्ट्रेस मत दो, बिकॉज अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो उसका सोल्यूशन है. एक नहीं, एक से ज़्यादा सोल्यूशन है. यू जस्ट हैव टू लुक एट इट एंड थिंक कामली. बीच में GTO इज गोना टेल यू पेनल्टी, टाइम अप, इतना टाइम रहता है, कम टाइम रह गया. इट्स गोना मेक यू, इट्स गोना गिव यू सिचुएशंस टू स्ट्रेस यू. यू हैव टू काम डाउन, बिकॉज यू आर द कमांडर. इफ यू विल टेक स्ट्रेस योर सबऑर्डिनेट्स, उनका क्या होगा? You have the responsibility of these two. I knew one thing, that my responsibility is not just to solve this, but is these 2 girls who are here, my subordinates. I have to take their responsibility and make sure that they are going to do it along with me. I'm going to take it seriously, right? So beach mein I focused more on telling them that we can do this and stuff, and I saw the girl who was right there, jo obstacle number 2 pe फंस गई थी हमारी वजह से, we were right ahead of her. And then I was like, don't worry, we're gonna do this, okay? And then she instantly smiled. So that was a little good thing that I liked. And then we figured out a way, we did the solution, and hum sab nikal aaye the. And after it was done, I patted their shoulders and we were like, well done girls, we did it. And then we moved on. So yeah, I think for me, this command task was not just limited to me figuring out a solution with my subordinates ki start line से finish line तक कैसे करना है, but it was like a real life experience, like I imagine that सच में एक मिशन मिला है, and सच में मेरे 2 subordinates हैं जिनका complete responsibility मेरे सर पर है. I am their commander and we have to fulfill this. And for me, I was not really thinking much about the success, that oh we have to reach there, but one step at a time. So step by step करके हम करेंगे हर चीज़ को, and at the end you also got to celebrate that, right? You don't just finish there, oh काम done, चलो अब चलते हैं. No, well done girls, we did it. So हर चीज़ को बहुत ही अच्छे से largely जीना है. That is what my aim is, and that's what I did for the command task as well. Command task done. Last was final group task. Final group task was again just like a PGT. You're gonna get so PGT everywhere, but it's fun because there are so many structures and so many problems, so many solutions. So the final group task was again all 7 of us together. We're gonna solve one obstacle, and we have to do like work together as a team. And yet again we did it, and our GTO said it in the end that above average group, and it was because out of us 7, 2 girls got recommended, me and my other partner. So good competition. You know, when you have good competition around you, that actually helps you to bring out your even better version, and maza bhi aata hai. So I had really good, like great fun. And yeah, final group task done, and I think I've said all of my group tasks, have I? Let me just recapitulate. Group discussion, done. Group planning exercise, done. Then we have group obstacle race, done. PGT, HGT, done. Lecturette, done. Individual obstacles, done. Final group task, done. एक रहता है, मैं क्या मिस कर रहा हूँ? Help me! I'm missing out on one group task, and that is let me figure it out. Group discussion, group planning exercise, lecturette, PGT, HGT, FGT, command task, individual obstacles. मैं क्या मिस कर रहा हूँ? सब कुछ तो बोल दिया. एक 9th टास्क में क्या मिस कर रहा हूँ? Oh God, I don't even think about it. GD, GPE, GOR, PGT, HGT, lecturette, then individual obstacle, command task, FGT. सब कुछ तो बोल दिया. हाँ. GD, GPE, GOR, PGT, FGT, HGT, lecturette, individual obstacles, command task, FGT. Yeah. Need to work on my math skills. But yeah, that's it. So group tasks done. And then rest karo, because next day is conference. So group tasks and everything done, and now we have our conference. And on the day of the conference, we have to again get our luggages, submit whatever we were issued, you know, bed sheets and stuff, and then go keep your luggage outside, and then face yourself for a conference. And conference is the day when you actually see your assessors in uniform, and you get the whole vibe that, oh my God, this is giving me real vibes. So chess number 5, you know, conference obviously jaldi aane wala hai, and conference se pehle they're gonna ask you for suggestions and all. So if you have some genuine suggestions, then say it, otherwise keep your mouth shut. Now, the day of the conference, I remember I was sitting, chess number 4, she was done, she moved out, but मेरा number flash नहीं हुआ है. तो जब flash होगा, then I'll go inside. जैसे ही flash हुआ, I went. Now before the conference, I'll tell you, the deputy president came and he gave us a closing address in which he told us and explained us that if you are trying to come under the influence, thinking that via money or any kind is going to help you get into SSB, you're wrong, which is true. And after that, he gave us really motivational speech. The fact that NCC entry, in the end there are like 5 seats, stuff and all, but it's all about the experience of life and etc. That was really, really motivating. And then after that, he told us the trick of selection. So what really happens is, conference में अगर आपके पहले जो candidate है वो चला गया, and then you are getting some time to wait. That is the time when the people inside the conference, the esteemed personalities of the armed forces, are discussing about your performance. Now we have 3 sections: Mansa, Vacha, Karma. So for Mansa, the psychologist, the Vacha, the interview, and the Karma, the GTO. If these 3 sections are giving you a tick, 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 you are in. And if all 3 say no, 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 you are out. Either ways, they're going to take less time and you will be called in. So अगर आपका कम time लगता है, you know, the person is gone, you're waiting that period, waiting period, then you should have this in your head clear. You are directly recommended or you are directly not recommended. But if they are taking time, imagine the interviewer said yes, psychologist said yes, but the GTO said no. So उसको influence करने के लिए, उसको मनाने के लिए time लेंगे वो लोग discuss करने के लिए. Then you are like a borderline case. So what happens is that if you are a clear recommendation or a clear conference out, they're going to take shorter amount of time for your conference. But if you are a borderline case, they're going to ask you more questions to see if you should be recommended or not, because they're themselves like at a little doubt at that moment. This is what the deputy president spoke in the closing address, and that's what I'm telling you. And one thing also he told us is that no one except the computer Baba knows that who is making it to the merit list, because as a female, it is really really difficult to make it to the academy, because even if I am recommended, it does not really assure that I'm going to the academy because of the less number of seats, and that is unfair. If I talk about NCC special entry, boys we have 50 seats, and for girls we have 5 seats. But I'm not going to blame anyone, because obviously by the end of your training, the number of opportunities available is also like less, so it really makes sense. But then 50 versus 5. Anyways, I'm not even jealous of the boys. Like, come on, one seat, I'll make it. That should be the seat. But yeah, coming to this, the reason because of less number of seats is resulting in a lot of merit outs. If you are a recommended candidate, it means that you are fit to join the academy from the SSB point of view. You clear your medicals, you are in. But as far as the number of seats are concerned, based on your ranking, based on the merit list, you will make it to the academy. Now, how that ranking is done? We have 3 boards for girls: Allahbad, Bhopal, Bangalore. And these 3 boards are going to have different assessors. They're going to assess you based on their perspective. Somebody can be lenient, somebody can be super strict. So वो आपको marks किस basis पे देते हैं is just completely something that even they don't know, right? Who's giving more or something. And then of course, so many candidates, so many recommendations happen. For this year, for my entry, there were 34 recommendations, out of which only 5 girls are making it to the academy. That's like a tough competition. Girls are so talented, really talented. So coming to that, the assessors from Bhopal are going to give marks for the conference, and so from Bangalore, and so from Allahbad. What marks they have given, they know, but इनको एक दूसरे का नहीं पता. They'll feed in their marks, it will go to the army headquarters, and from there the list will be published. So nobody knows who's getting more marks, who's getting less marks. But one thing that you can be sure about is that if you are getting a tick 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 from all 3, if you're not a borderline case, it means that your conference marks are going to be higher. So your chance of coming, greater in the merit list, like a higher rank, is more as compared to someone who's like a borderline case recommendation. That is like something obvious, right? These are like maths. So yeah, that is the only thing that I could gather. Otherwise, I cannot see what competition I have as far as Bangalore is concerned, or what competition I have as far as Allahabad is concerned. I only knew that Bhopal mein jo girls hai, unke against I have to see. So I remember even when I was recommended and I was going through my medicals, and those medical days were hectic, and I was like, oof, I have to go through this entire process again, which is a trauma if I don't make it in the merit. So what I used to think about is that Akanksha thing, can you call yourself number 1 as far as the Bhopal recommended list is concerned? If yes, chill. If no, then also chill. So yeah. Now coming to my conference. So I remember I went inside, I saw uniform, sparkling uniform. So the first question was, how are you? I'm very well, sir. Then, so how did you perform? I did my best. What was your best performance in all 3, if you say? Whether it was psychology, whether it was ground task, or whether it was your interview. So my was in synchronization. I did my best in all 3, and I did my best in all 3. So yeah. And then if you have to rank yourself, me being modest, so top 3. In top 3, how would you rank yourself? Number 1. And then he asked me, okay, so how was your stay? Any suggestions? Did you enjoy the food? How was it? Was it comfortable? Very comfortable, sir. Great. Get out now. And then I left. It was pretty much my conference, hardly 5 minutes, that's it. And then I left out, and then I left, and then I was like just chilling and enjoying and just having my time. And then comes the result. And throughout I was just thinking, in fact a night before, I opened my diary and I wrote my entire SSB experience, right from the screening test, मैंने क्या क्या गलतियाँ करी, what can I improve, and everything. कि अगर कल जो भी होता है result, whether I'm recommended, whether I'm conferenced out, this is what is going to be the treasure of this entire experience. And I remember everybody was discussing kal result aayega, and it's gonna be like the change, like it's gonna change your life, right? And some of us were booking our tickets and etc. And मेरे मन में था that I should book my tickets just in case I'm conferenced out, but हिम्मत नहीं हो रही थी. Just like देखा जाएगा, and I did not book my tickets. But anyways, results were about to be announced. We went inside the hall, the same hall where I wrote my PPDT test and the psychology test. I was sitting, and they took our chest numbers, and now the psychologist came in. Sir, he was telling us about how we did and etc. And one thing that he said was that we have to take SSB seriously, because most of us were freshers, and we just give it like casually. That is something that we should not entertain in our lives. I mean, if we are doing something, you have to do it well, and that's what I'll also tell you, that अगर कुछ काम करना है तो अच्छे से करो, बिल्कुल निचोड़ के करो, अच्छे से करो, otherwise don't do it. So yeah, that's what is one of the key fundas of my life as well. So yeah, he was about to announce, and then he said, okay, so now I'll announce the result. And then suddenly he started speaking something other motivational thing. ये बोल के that now I'm going to announce my result, and then he's saying something motivational, like what, this is so unfair. दिल मुंह पे आ गया था. But then he finally said chest number 5. खड़ी हुई. Everybody started clapping, and then I went out of the room. I cannot express how it felt. Then 3 more girls came out, and we all 4 were like, it was like a mixed emotion, because we were happy for ourselves, we were happy for each other, but we were also a little sad for the ones who were sitting inside, because everybody did amazing. Then we were asked to get our pictures, so we went to get some of the documents, and then we were asked to go back to the same hall जहाँ पे सब लोग बैठे हुए थे, from the back side. And then we saw them, they were congratulating us, they exchanged our greetings, and it felt both happy and sad, more of sad, because not only that it was the result day, but also that we have to bid goodbye to each other now. So yeah, that happened. But anyways, life is full of experience, and that was a great one. So I remember we were given our phones. We were finally given our phones, and there was this one girl, Jo recommended me, of course, and her phone was switched off, and she wanted to talk to her father. So I gave her my phone, and she talked to her father, and she was a repeater. I think it was her 4th attempt. Yeah, I think 4th attempt. And she was getting conferenced out, Pishli, but this was her first recommendation, so it was so special. You cannot even believe, like for a fresher recommendation, all 3 of us were fresher recommendations. She was the one who was repeated, and for us it was like first time, like itna feel nahi hua, but for her it was like, wow, I cannot even tell you how it felt. So she spoke to her father, and her father jumped with joy. I could hear it, and he started crying. His father started crying, and she started crying, and looking at her, I started crying, and everybody started crying. It was just, yeah, it's very good. And बहुत अच्छा लगा. एक पल के लिए हम सब भूल गए थे, उस रिज़ल्ट के मौके पे हम ही भूल गए थे कि आगे मेरिट लिस्ट का आना बाकी है, मेडिकल्स होना बाकी. हम बस उस चीज़ को, उस खुशी को महसूस कर रहे थे, एंड बहुत बहुत अच्छा लगता है. एंड देन आई कॉल्ड अप माई मदर, एंड मैंने उन्हें बताया, मम्मा द रिज़ल्ट इज़ आउट, एंड शी इज़ लाइक, हो गया ना? मैंने कहा हाँ हो गया. शी इज़ लाइक, हाँ मुझे पता था, चल ठीक है, मैं भी अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ किटी पार्टी में हूँ, आई टॉक टू यू लेटर. I was expecting that my mama is typical mama, she is like this. So I was happy कि चलो इतना faith था उनका मेरे पर. I was and I did not talk to my father. My mother probably informed her, because after that it was documentation, so busy with that. But yeah, my father was super duper happy. I mean, come on, ये सब मैंने उन्हीं के लिए तो करा है. So my parents were definitely happy back then. Even right now, they're super happy. So yeah, I informed my friends. I informed Satyam and Saksham. These are two of my really good friends, and they were also, they were in Allahabad and they were rowing a boat. Next day उनका screen and test है, and they were rowing a boat. And मैंने कहा hello, what's up? I got recommendation. They're like, congrats, calm down. Like, thank you. What are you guys doing? दरिया में हम तैरने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं अपनी बोट को, whatever that was. I was like, oh, great, have fun. So yeah, after that documentation happened, and we was very amazingly busy with that, and then came medicals. So yeah, this was my recommendation, boys and girls, and I've been speaking for 2 hours now. And trust me, I can go on and on and on. I can give you many more details, but I'm just staying to the crux. But let me tell you one thing. पूरे SSB में मुझे एक बार भी stress नहीं हुआ that oh my god, this is tough, or oh my god, so much happening, because I was enjoying it, like one step at a time, and that's it. Enjoy the process. Trust me. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna learn so much. And yes, keep it in your mind. Who are you? Why are you here? And सीखो जितना सीख सकते हो. So after the recommendation, as far as Indian Army is concerned, in the SSB process, we are supposed to stay for another few days depending on our medicals. And trust me, medicals is something जो हम सोचते नहीं है, right? But is important, like is really really important. Even if you are all India rank 1 in your merit list, you will not even enter the academy if you are medically not fit. So medicals really really important, and that's what I'm going to tell you about medicals also. So medicals ka again, documentation very important. And I'm just going to tell you what really happens in the medical tests, okay? And I always suggest you to go and check out the standards of the medicals, which is given on the official websites, to get clear idea. Don't listen to rumors. बहुत rumors फैलते हैं medicals को लेके. Stick to what is written on the official, and it's right there. You just have to go and log in. So what really happens in the medicals? It's going to take some time. हमारा medicals हुआ था 11 दिनों में. So completely depends from board to board. Now the first is your SMB, which takes place as soon as you're recommended. That is your stage 3. SMB is Special Medical Board, which is going to be taking place in the same place where your SSB is taking place. So for me it was Bhopal. So I was supposed to say in Bhopal only, but for Army SSB. Now what happens in the medical? सबसे पहले happens your blood test and your urine test. Samples are taken, easy. I'm gonna tell you a funny story for this. So for the blood test, so we were recommended from NCC entry. There were many more recommendations. I remember there was recommendation from Tech entry. There were recommendations from NDA boys, and etc. So we all would go together those medicals के लिए. And for the blood test, the female lady officer who was taking our, I just got a notification with respect to my battery being low, so I'm just gonna switch places now. Okay, I'm just gonna keep the phone on charge. I'm gonna take a little time here. Give me some time, because like I've said, I'm not gonna edit this video, so it has to be in one go. Is this charging?